everyone, today I want to talk really briefly about a wild discovery made in New Zealand. Researchers Gerald Mayer and his associates, R. Paul Schofield, Vanessa D. Pietri, and Alan Tennyson, have all authored a paper recently published in the journal Nature Communications, detailing the discovery of fossils belonging to an extinct species of penguin. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? We find fossils of animal species all the time, and penguins aren't particularly amazing. And you'd be right, we do. It's just that the fun stuff is in the details. What did we find? Where in the soil strata did we find it? What does this say about other life forms around at the same time, and the species that may have descended from this fossilized species? What can we learn from this? These are all questions that we can answer by examining the fossils in detail and putting what we find into the greater collective of genetic, morphological, and paleontological data. Okay, so to go back to Gerald Mayer and his associates and their discovery of this ancient penguin. Their discovery involved fossils unearthed in the Moeraki Formation at the Hampden Beach in the Otago region of New Zealand. New Zealand itself is a country off the eastern coast of Australia, deep in the South Pacific Ocean, and in proximity to Antarctica and the world's southern polar waterways. This is pretty much where all the world's penguins are. The fossils belong to an undiscovered species of penguin, a massive penguin, the size of a fully grown human man. Apparently, sometime in the early Cenozoic period, there were numerous species of giant penguin. They fed off of the fish that thrived in the South Polar waters. They didn't have much competition. When the fish underwent adaptive radiations of their own to produce new lineages and new populations with booming numbers, the penguins could easily catch their fill. This was a period shortly after the death of the dinosaurs from the KT extinction. Many species of fish found that many of their terrestrial predators were largely wiped out. Many surviving land-based species found that their competition was drastically reduced, and the landscapes around them were opened up for exploitation. It created an evolutionary environment where growing larger was encouraged, and numerous penguin species, now being uncontested apex predators, did just that. This newly discovered fossil belongs to a species that the researchers named Kumamanu baisea, named after the Maori words for bird and monster. Analysis of the fossils gave some pretty cool data. First of all, the fossils suggest the penguins stood more than 1.7 meters tall, which is, as I said, about the size of a grown man. Second, this species appeared 55 to 60 million years ago, a non-trivial amount of time before any of the other known species of giant penguins emerged. This suggests that big size wasn't evolved once, with descendants of the initial population just passing on their big bone genes to all their diverging descendants. Instead, it suggests that big size was evolved multiple times, presumably because for millions of years, all of these different penguins were exposed to conditions that favorably selected physically larger individuals. And so it's plausible that all of these separate populations could evolve the same trait, the same large size. The most likely possibility here is that the asteroid impact that killed off the dinosaurs created an environment for the penguins where they had relatively little competition. The fact that they couldn't fly wasn't necessarily a huge disadvantage, because there wasn't a whole lot of other predators on the ground that could compete with them. They enjoyed ample fish for generations, and their size swelled. Although, now that these giant penguins are long extinct, the fossils indicate that millions of years ago there was a species of monster penguin living the high life, with few predators and competitors, and enough food and nourishment to sustain a growing adult body size for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years.